Hey friends, it's Carol, Saltbox Stitcher. It's December 20th and I am back for video number...
Hang on a second, I'm looking for the dustpan. 59.
I told you I'd never live it down. Anyway, that's an allude from my previous video where I couldn't think of the word dustpan, and my husband will forever be teasing me about it. Anyway, hi, how are you? It's only 4.5 days till Christmas. Really, I have today, rest of today. It's about noonish, 11. I have tomorrow, I have Wednesday, and I have Thursday. So I really only have 3 days to wrap and, well, wrap presents, not musically wrap. I don't do that. But I have to go to the grocery store. I have to wrap presents. We're going to Christmas Eve service on Friday. So it'll be here before we know it. It's gonna be a lean Christmas, but the older kids get, my daughter sent me a Instagram message and she said, now that I'm older, it's harder to tell people what you want for Christmas. Life was a lot easier when you just said you wanted a Barbie house with a swimming pool. I thought that was cute. Anyway, I haven't done a ton of stitching. I was here a little over a week ago. I had hoped to video over the weekend, but we had the grandkids and the weekend just kind of got away from me. So it's Monday and this will be my last video of 2021, unless I video on New Year's Eve, which doesn't sound real exciting, but hey, we stay home anyway, so maybe I might do that. I don't know. But probably this will be the last one for 2021. So anyway, I did get a few things done. I have been doing a little bit of stitching, but I've also been doing other stuff. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you what I've stitched, a couple things I wanna stitch over the rest of the holidays. And then I've mentioned before that in January, I like to do a sampler start to finish. I'm still undecided, although I'm leaning really closely or leaning heavily toward one particular, but I brought a bunch of kitted samplers to show you what I've gone through to come up with a possibility for starting and working on monogamously in January. Anyway, and then I'll show you, I just had a few things for haul. And then my husband's going to insert a lot of pictures of quilts. I'm not going to attempt to tell you what the names are. Some of these are old. I've had them around for a while. One's a Thimbleberries, which was around in the 90s. One's Debbie Mum, which was around in the 80s. So there's a little bit of everything. I have been working on a few new ones that I pieced, and I have a little bit left to do on them, and of course quilt them. And then I've also been getting quilts quilted, that Christmas quilts that I've done in the past. So that's where we're going. So anyway, the first thing I finished is the gift from my sister, and I have to get this in the mail tomorrow without fail, because otherwise she won't get it by Christmas, which is not that big a deal. Anyway, this is Moon Garden by Blackbird. I showed you this last time. It is Loose Feathers pattern number 8, Moon Garden. And this is the one my sister made for me, and so I'm using my kit to make for her. I highlighted the first name initials of the 4 kids in our family, and it's all done. It was a 30 count linen, but it was just a little tricky for me to stitch on. I don't know why. I don't know why. Some of the older R&R linens were more stiff, so I don't know if that's the reason. But anyway, it's finished, and I'm gonna be sending it to her in the mail probably tomorrow. I need to get it out. And then I picked up a a piece I wanted to finish. This is Sampler House by Plum Street. Sorry for the glare. Sampler House by Plum Street. I love this. It's very cute. I have the top part of it finished as far as all the trees. I've been working on this for a while, probably because I've been doing other things. Like I've been doing some binding at night, and I haven't just been stitching. So my stitching hours have been fewer and I'm getting less done, but I'll be back on track in January. So I have the top part finished. I'm working on the roof, and then I just have to do the house, which will be a lot of fill in. Not totally, but a lot of fill in. And here's the colors. Great Christmas colors. And there's a few DMC, Classic Colorworks, No Gentle Art, and then Weeks. So, working on that. I'm anxious to get that done. Hopefully I can get that done this week. I think I've had 29 finishes for the year, so if I get that done, it'll be 30 finishes. So I think 10 or 12 were samplers. So, and those were not start to finish samplers. Those were samplers I had maybe started in the past and just finished during the year. And then I was thinking about things. It's kind of hard for me to, a lot of people talk about starting a piece like on Christmas. Now I can start something on New Year's, but Christmas and Christmas Eve, we're busy. We're like back and forth. We're cooking, we're opening presents, there's not a lot of time to just sit down and have stitching time unless it's really late. And by that time I'm tired. I don't want to stay up till 1 or 1:30. But anyway, all that said, very soon, as soon as I finish this Sampler House number 6. Did I say 5? Sampler House number 6 by Plum Street. As soon as I finish that, I have 3 candidates that I'm going to start to work on next week. This is one, I've wanted to do this for a long time. Welcome All Hearts Home. It's not specifically Christmas, but it does have a reindeer down here, so, and, yeah, it has a reindeer. By Plum Street. Welcome All Hearts Home. I have it kitted with a piece of Old Town Blend. And again, some of the same colors that are in that Sampler House. Although there's no DMC, but. So that's really like top of my list. But then there's also Gathering the Greens, which I showed you before by Stacy Nash. And this one I have kitted with, this was a country sampler kit. 36 count Confederate Gray by Weeks. And they use the called for. Sometimes country sampler changes, but they use the called for. So that is definitely, I have 3 here that I kind of want to start, or possibilities to start right after I finish the Sampler House. And then the next one is Christmas Rose by Blackbird. And I have that kitted with the called for, which is 40, I don't know if it's 40 count called for, but it's Wren by Picture This Plus. And the called for Weeks flosses. They all kind of have that little bit of a muted Christmas palette. So those 3 are possibilities. And then I wanted to show you, what did I do with that? I'm going to pause. I'll be right back. It was right in front of me. My mom used to say blind in one eye and can't see out the other. I wanted to show you a few things I got for haul. I got the last Dying to Stitch kit. This is so pretty. This is really tempting to start this too. Joyous Noel by Pineberry Lane. This is the Dying to Stitch Quaint Country Ladies. I'm pretty sure it's the last one. And then I got an exclusive from Culture Station. It's a Blackbird joined hand in hand. This is a companion piece to the one that came out last, I don't know when it was, but it has an eagle on it. So I got that with the threads, the linen, scissors. It was nice because I was also able to get some more of that Blackbird fabric. The sampler fabric in black, because only Quilter Station has it in black. They bought the whole run of the black of the new line of Moda fabric by Blackbird that's coming out in the spring. So if you wait, try to get the black sampler fabric in the stores, you'll be out of luck because only Quilter Station has it. I got a PDF that I ordered and downloaded from Lori Rippey, Homespun Prims. It's called Come Hear the Bells. Come hear the bells this Christmas day, the Savior rests upon the hay. Come hear the bells this Christmas day and live in his peace, I pray. I don't have a color printer, but the picture is really pretty, really nice. So Homespun Prims by Lori, check it out. You can get an immediate download PDF. So I'd like to start that too. That's high on the list. And then I got Teresa Vanette, Kitten Stitcher, Shakespeare's Peddler. I got her new book, Red Letter Day. My granddaughter and I were watching Nightmare Before Christmas. And this came in the mail. So I immediately opened it and I started looking through it. And she goes, Grammy, pay attention to the movie. Hashtag bossy. It's hard when it's your grandkids because you can't really say. I mean, you can discipline them, but I'm hesitant to discipline a lot. I mean, I do want them to like me. I didn't have that theory with my own kids. Okay, now I'm going to talk about samplers that are on the possible agenda for January. These are all kitted. The first one, and this is a little bit, to me, kind of Christmassy. This is by Chessie and Me. It's Martha Jefferson 1842 sampler. I guess because the white roof on the house, it has kind of a Christmas feel. But I love that one. Martha Jefferson 1842 sampler by Chessie and Me. That's kitted, and the companion pillow that came with it, was a separate. It's called Martha's Pillow, also by Chessie and Me. That's a possibility, because I don't want to just add to my whips and start all of these, because I really would like next year, 2022, to be, let's get them finished, and at least a good portion, which is kind of hard because if I only did 10 or 12 this year and I have 40 some whips, not all samplers, then chances are it's going to take me 4 years to get them done, but we'll see. But I'm going to pick one out of all of these. Got it? Now, that's not to say these might not get started during 2022, but for the month of January, I'm going to be monogamous. The next one that's a possibility was a 4-part piece from Stacy Nash, Maria Higginson. So let's see, part 2, part 1. Oh, part 1's missing a plastic envelope. Okay, so part 1, it's a sampler, Maria Higginson 1837, Stacy Nash, part 1. Part 2, this is the antique. There's another picture of it on the back. Part 3, more of the house, the grass. and part 4, the rest of the bottom border. This is 228 by 233, so it won't be huge. The kit came with, I'm not sure what linen this is. It looks like sand dune by Weeks. It is with the Zweigart base because it has the red stripe and all of the colors, plus it came with a, no, maybe I put that on there. I don't know if it came with that or not. It probably came with it. Anyway, that was an exclusive sometime during the year. So that is Stacy Nash. Did I say Stacy Nash? Mary Higginson. So that's a candidate. I really would like to pick one that doesn't have very much over one, if any. Hannah Jenkinson, another Stacy Nash. Kitted from Country Sampler with 36 count ale. Has some overdyes and some DMC. This is in the top category, so I'm going to set that aside. This one is Elizabeth Charnelay by Lottie Da. I think Nicole's Needlework. I think Nicole has this partway finished or all the way finished. And it's nice because this does not have over one on the verse. And this one I have kitted with Fabrics by Stephanie. I kitted this one myself. Chocolate Milk. Oops. Not near that orange or yellowy. And the Called For, which is some DMC. So that one's another possibility. So next time I'm thinking, my husband used to say, does it hurt? Yes, it does. I'm thinking, and yes, it hurts. Now I forgot. I don't know. It'll come back to me. It usually does. Another one is Floral Motif Sampler. Now this is not, that would not get done in a month. That's pretty big and has a lot of, obviously, motifs. This is by the Scarlet House. That's a candidate. Oh, I know what I was going to say. See, I told you to come back. I'm thinking on my next one, I might do a whip parade. I've done them before. Not much has changed. But I'm thinking about it. This one I have kitted with 40 count Prairie Grass by Seraphim Fabrics with the Called For overdyes. Beautiful palette. A little jingling on the floss ring. So that's by Scarlet House. That's a possibility. I need to find a place to start putting these. And hopefully they don't fall off the table. Here's another one. This is part of, oh shoot. Sorry. This is Margaret Croft by Needlework Press. This was part of the Schoolgirl Club. Margaret Croft. I love this one too, and I don't think this has over one either. It could. Margaret Croft, I got this Schoolgirl Club through Country Sampler. That's a possibility, so I'm going to put that in the top category. This is Lucy Snooshall. This is by Samplers Remembered. Love the red house. I love this one. This I have kitted with Vintage Exemplar by Lakeside and the Called For overdyes. Lucy Snooshall, Samplers Remembered. Here's another one. This is by Antique Sampler, Cross Stitch Antiques, Mary Green, Ashton. Let's see, Ashton School, 1846. This is kitted with silks with a conversion from the attic and 46 count straw by Weeks. Did I say Sand Dune a while ago was by Weeks? That's by, isn't that by Lakeside? I thought it was straw. That's the word I was looking for. Pretty soon you guys aren't going to be able to understand me at all. You're like, oh, that was wrong. And that was wrong. So you just have to look at what I'm showing you and just ignore me. That's all I can tell you to do. The Mary Ann Aldred sampler. I want to say this was another exclusive, but I don't know. Mary Ann Aldred by Needlework Press. Looks like Needlework Press. I think this is Needlework Press. Doesn't really say on the front. One of the things this has is the four-sided stitch, which I just love. But it also has over one, but it's not huge. Mary Ann Aldred. I have it kitted with Country Mocha, 40 count. Vintage Country Mocha by Zweigart. That was a kit. I know that was a kit. I just can't remember if it was from an exclusive like on Facebook or if it was Country Sampler. I want to say it was Country Sampler, but no, I don't think it was Country Sampler. It's definitely Needlework Press. I'm not sure. Another one, Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread, Caroline Amelia Trowel. I think Brenda has this either finished or almost finished. I have 40 count antique lace. Who's that by? Forgive me. I can't remember who that's by. That linen. Another one by Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread. This one is Hannah Ann Wallace. It's hard when it's in 2 plastic bags. Hannah Ann Wallace. Beautiful. A lot of people have finished this. I think Kindred Stitcher Lisa has finished this. Beautiful. Does have some over 1. So pretty. Nice chart, everything. And this one is kitted with 40 count Boston. Hannah Ann Wallace with the called for overdyes. What Remains is Love by Blackbird. This was a kit through Traditional Stitches in Canada. What Remains is Love. I thought this was so ironic that this came out right before Barb of Blackbird passed away. Because it's like what remains is love, which is so true. What remains is our love for her and her designs. I just thought that was so poignant. And I have this one kitted with whatever it came with from Traditional Stitches. 40 count straw by Weeks. Oh, and I have the silks that there's a, these were the Fibers to Die For silks that you could opt for the kit with those. I'm anxious to use these because I've never used these Fibers to Die For, but they're just as silky as could be. They're beautiful. So that's a high possibility. So let's put that in the kit. Here's one that I've always wanted to do. I don't know that it's very popular. I did see on one of Reese's videos, Reese, who is from Australia, she went to her group meeting at the Cruel Goblin. And somebody there, I think it was the owner, was working on Hester. Was this the one? No, this isn't the one. But somebody I've seen working on this. It's Hester Kingham, 1832, by Samplers Revisited. I love this. And I have it kitted with NPIs, and the colors are just really cool. There's some teals, there's some brighter greens, brighter pinks. Just really cool. And I have that kitted with a piece of Lakeside 40 count vintage exemplar. This is really high on my list. I really want to finish this. I love this. Not finish it, but start it and finish it. Love, love, love that. The stitching part of this video is not going to be that long because of all the quilts I want my husband to add. Pictures of quilts. He's not adding the actual quilts. Oh yeah, just zoom, just start watching it and just a quilt just comes right out of your TV or your iPad or your phone, whatever. Here's another one. This was an exclusive to the attic. This is Anne Gott by Needlework Press. Love that red house. Love this one. I just love all these. I have that one kitted with the 103 silks and some 46 count straw by Weeks. So that's a possibility. So I guess you'll have to just tune into my next video to see which one actually made the cut. This is Isabella Jackson. This was a new release this year. I got it the year before. I didn't go to the attic during 2020, but it was the project because it was canceled. It wasn't canceled. We had the option. We could either take the kit if we decided not to go. And I have that kitted with silks and a piece of 40 count ale by Picture This Plus. Isabella Jackson by the Scarlet House. Love that. That does have some over one. Not a whole lot. Sometimes it's hard to tell though. You can assume that the verse is over one. Not assume, but a lot of times the verse is over one. But sometimes there's over one within the motifs that can jump out and bite you. So that's a possibility. Here's one that I have wanted to do literally for years. The bag is just so tattered here. And that is Snooty Parrots by Barbara Anna. I love this. Love it, love it, love it. Robin, what was her floss tube? She hasn't done a floss tube in a long time. Robin, oh, I can't remember Robin. I have this kitted, anyway, she finished that and I loved it. This is 36 count vintage exemplar by Lakeside with, and I have the called for over dies. It's a pretty colorful piece. You know, if I'm not going to start it now, when am I going to start it? It does not have over one. It has the same verse on it that my Mind Independent and Free one, the big long one that I did by Needlework Press. No, by Carriage House. Snooty Parrots, that has to go in the top. This is the piece I was thinking of, that Reese from Australia. Some of her cohorts at the Cruel Goblin, one of them had finished this one. I love this. It's by Handwork Samplers. It's the 1809 Francis Eden sampler. I love it. It's bright and colorful, but there's something about it that I'm just drawn to it. I don't think this has over one. It does have a little bit of freehand, you know, like some stem stitch. but it could easily be translated to cross stitch, I think. Yes, yes, there's no over one. It should be no, there's no over one, but yes, there's no over one. Oh, there's a little bit. This house that I have built, the very, very bottom, you could almost leave that off. That very bottom trailer, you could almost leave that out. This, I can't even read it without glasses on. I get asked all the time, glasses. I have purchased my 4.0 from iKeepers because you cannot get higher strength readers from like the grocery store, or even a lot of needle workshops don't have them past 2.5. I need 4.0. Unless I'm just doing a binding, then I'll use like 2.0. But if I'm doing stitching on 40 count, I need 4.0. And I get them from iKeepers. We have a link in the description box. So, oh, this is interesting. So I have a couple of different, I think it originally called for DMC. No, it didn't. I have a couple of different conversions for this. Maybe it did call from DMC. But I've converted it to silks. And you can see, these are some like crazy bright wild colors. Look at this one, this green. This is Holiday Green by Gloriana. There's some Gloriana, there's some Belsoise. It just really fits what you see. And this is vintage bisque, 40 count. And I think that will be stunning. It's not my normal kind of more, I don't know, not primitive, that's not the right word, but more toned down, I guess, samplers. But there's something about it that just really appeals to me. So again, that's the 1809 Francis Eden. I don't know if this is still available or not. Handwork samplers. For sure, I would check the attic because that's where I got mine. It's really tempting to put that higher up on the list. Anyway, here's another oldie but goodie that I want to do. This is by Shakespeare's Peddler. And this one is called Mercy Goodheart. I love this one. Shakespeare's Peddler, Kitten Stitcher, Teresa Vanette, all the same person. This is 36 count vintage exemplar. And I have the called for silk NPIs, which stands for needle point ink, needle point NPS. Some people say NPS, which is needle point silk. Some say NPI, which is needle point incorporated. So anyway, I have that. And evidently, I must have, oh, this is a start from something else, and I just pulled this. So, that's Mercy Goodheart by Shakespeare's Peddler. Really like that. A couple more. This is one I recently got at the Farm Girl Dry Goods Retreat in Amana. This is by With Thy Needle and Thread, the Red Bird Sampler. Kyle Reckenmeyer has already finished this one. That's right, Kyle. And this one was a kit with the called for overdyes, some of which, and plus some DMC. It didn't come with fabric. I think it calls for Patriot's Brew by R&R, and I have some of that. The last one is not kitted. This is by Merry Wind Farm. There's a couple people that have finished this. I can't remember who, but if you hashtag Merry Wind Farm on Instagram, you'll see it, and it is totally different than it looks here. Not near as dark. It was stitched on Cappuccino by Weeks, but you could do it on anything. And it just calls for gentle art and a couple DMCs. I might have most of those gentle arts. I don't know. We'll see. I probably have it kitted with something, but I don't usually. I unkit some things, but not very many. Because I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that all these things will get stitched. And when you have hope, when you unkit, you give up hope. And I think everybody has to have hope that my 40-some whips and all of these, plus all of these, will all get finished someday. And I'll be too old to appreciate it. Anyway, a couple other things that I've been doing. I'm going to show you a few quilts. They'll probably be included. Hold on. So I'm going to put the ones that I picked for high on the oh, one of the main ones that's super high on the probability list. I didn't even show you. This is one that I really sort of feel like is gonna win the race. Sorry for all that. This is Brenda Key's Sampler Company. And this one is called, what is this? I think it's called a Country House Sampler by Brenda Keys. 2 years ago in January, I did the Red House Sampler, which is sort of similar, but different border. Doesn't have all these people. I love this. If you want to see this finished, go to Tanya Brockmeyer's Instagram. She has a couple pictures of it. If she has any house pictures with it on her wall. One of them she recently showed her decorating. And she has some Santas, and I think it's almost right behind it, and it's gorgeous. I have two different possibilities. One is 36 count American Chestnut by R&R, and the other is 40 count Old Town Blend. They're very similar. One's a little bit lighter. I'm thinking of going with the Old Town Blend, and then I have that kitted. This is all completely DMC. Sorry, so that to me is really high on the list. I've only done one other Brenda Keys, the Sampler Company piece, the Red House one, and I just loved it. There's no over one, I don't think. There might be, I don't know. Anyway, so then I'll show you a little, did I show you haul? Yes, I showed you haul already. Put these all back. I baked a few cookies with Camille. I put that into my stories. That was over the weekend, Friday, I think. And then I started this. I need another mini charm pack to finish it. Coffee. You're all naughty. I love that. You're all naughty. So some friends of mine were making these, and one time at our sewing group, stitching group, whatever, we made it at the quilt store. I didn't make it at the time. I probably should have, because I got going on it and I got kind of confused. But it's, you take one of these styrofoam trees, you cover the bottom, and just, all you're using is straight pins. You cover the bottom, pin it. And then you take, well, if you use charm squares, they're like 5 by 5. So you could get 4 out of each one. So I should have bought a charm square, because price-wise, it would have been cheaper to buy a charm square. Instead, I bought a couple of mini charms, and I really needed more. Obviously, I didn't finish it yet. So when it's finished, it goes all the way up to the top, and then you can add a star or whatever. So you take 2.5-inch square pieces. There's no sewing, don't panic. This is a mini charm. I'm not sure what line this is. It's a current line. You fold it in half, and fold it in half again. So you don't have any raw edges on this side. And then you proceed to pin them around. The key is you kind of get off, and then, you know, like some of mine are not even all the way around. But, you know, like I started out with a layer of whites, and then I did red, green, then up here I did another row of whites. So they're really cute when you get them done, and of course you could do them any way you wanted. I mean, as far as fabric. You could do them with homespuns, whatever. It was going to be a gift, but it hasn't gotten finished. And I'm probably not going to get to the quilt shop to get some more. So I will eventually finish that. So that's all the stitching. If you're just here for the stitching, toodaloo, love you, and I will see you when I see you. Probably New Year's weekend, which is not quite 2 weeks away, but almost. The next is going to be Christmas quilts. Speaking of quilts, I always get asked about the quilts that are hanging here. This particular one of the church is an old Country Threads. Country Threads has since gone out of business, but I don't know if their patterns are still available or not. Country Threads. Country Threads. This is another one. I had this kitted, can I say 20 years? It came from a quilt shop that I worked at probably from 94 to 2002, way on the other side of town. I worked there during when 9/11 happened, I know that. I was driving, and when I got to the store, I turned on the radio, and so that was, I know I worked there during 2001. I think I left that store in 2002, and then I went to another quilt shop that I worked at from 2002 to 2010. All that to say, I bought this kit years ago, and I've just hung on to it because I love it. Log cabin, blocks, trees, cardinals. My tree has a lot of cardinals. Talbot's, at one time I was working there, and the whole store was decorated with these cardinals. I mean, they're just like birds. Not real birds, obviously. And at the end of the season, well, even before that, I think I talked about this once before. When they took down to set up for January, it was still before Christmas, and I said, what are we doing with all these cardinals? And they said, we're just told to pitch them. I said, well, can I have them? They said, yes. Then I bought additional cardinals, some of which just clip onto the tree, the smaller ones. Some of them have wires, and you can wire them around the tree. That was the year the St. Louis Cardinals won the World Series in October. So obviously it was all meaningful. And I still like decorating my tree with cardinals. Some of them are getting a little worse for the wear though, because they've been around for a while. All that to say, I love this quilt. It was a kit. I don't know how much I paid for it, but early 2000s, end of the 90s, been around a while. So this year I thought, you know, I'm going to make that quilt. So I haven't been doing as much quilt. Well, I did a couple quilts for customers. Okay, I need to stay on track because I am like taking little diversions here. Mostly I have been doing other things other than quilting for customers. So, quilted some of my own. So anyway, the interesting thing about this pattern though is that 2 of the birds face right and 2 of them face left. Nowhere in the pattern does it tell you to reverse the templates. Now maybe there was a corrected one that came out, I don't know. So it's kind of long and skinny. It's probably 18 inches by, I don't know, 30 inches. Which I did have a little bit of trouble with a couple of the pieces, probably because they had been around for a while, vintage, because I used the fabric, with a little bit of bleeding. Obviously, all fabrics can bleed. The problem, if you buy a pair of black jeans, 10 washings. That's my St. Louis roots. 10 washings from when you bought them. They're not going to be as black as when you first bought them. You can just compare, even if you wash them in cold water. So all fabrics have a tendency to bleed some. That's not the problem. The problem is when the other fabrics around it pick up those colors. So in other words, this should be the same color as this, but because this bled and was picked up here. Now, I use color catchers. I used to use Retain, but supposedly on a front-loading washing machine, you're not supposed to use Retain. So if you're a quilter out there and you have quilts with vintage turn-of-the-century fabrics, tell me what you use. I've also used vinegar. I've used salt. All of that works well if you have a top-loading. But now the energy-efficient washers, you don't have as much water. So consequently, it's harder to use like salt or vinegar or soak it in cold water in the bathtub. I've done it all. I just want to know what your own opinion of what works the best. So anyway, I love this quilt. I finished it and quilted it and bound it. So some of my time that I've been not stitching, I've been sitting and doing some bindings in the evening. So anyway, all that to say, there was no templates that were for the other way, so I just followed the directions, and when I went to put it together, I was like, oh, there's supposed to be 2 right and 2 left, and there's not. Mine are all going the same direction. I don't care. I love it. It's scrunchy. Love it. So that's one thing. Another one that I may have to stand up for this one. This I stitched, or I pieced, I don't know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. It was also a kit. It's been sitting around waiting to be quilted. I finally got it quilted. I'll stand up. Maybe you can see it a little better if I stand up. It says snowman. It's about 20 inches by, I don't know, 40 some inches. Has some anyway. So when my granddaughter was here, she said, Grammy, where are the buttons on the snowman for his buttons on his shirt or his snowsuit? It's like, oh, well, I put buttons on for the eyes. She's like, well, you need to have buttons on them. She's a little too observant for her own good. So I'm gonna add 3 buttons on his middle. But he's really cute. The top is trees. Another pattern that's been around for a while, but I love it. I hang it on one of the cabinets in my living room. I have limited decorating space because of my long arm room takes up our entire family room. This is another one that I think I had talked about this. This one, you'll get a better picture of it when my husband takes a picture. But these are ones that I really finished piecing. So I finished piecing that snowman. It wasn't completely pieced. I think I just needed to add borders. I thought it was, when I first said it was finished, but I think I do remember that it wasn't complete. This is a pattern by Primitive Pieces by Linda. Let's see if I can get the top. And I use a lot of brushed. I don't use as much flannel, but I use a lot of brushed. And this one is called Santa Jack. I'm gonna put it in half this way. So one side of it has a huge stocking. Oops. The rest is all pieced with greens, blacks, a few oranges. It's called Santa Jack. So that one got finished, quilted and bound. And then there's this one I'm not quite finished with, and this is from the book by Joined at the Hip. This is an older book. This is a kit that I got years ago. The book is called Potluck by Joined at the Hip. Joined at the Hip gals I think that one time they worked for Country Threads, or worked at Country Threads. You'll see I have one of the trees with branches, and then the rest I've got them cut. I just didn't get them done last night. So it's Santas and trees. See, I have to do the branches on the other trees. So there's 5 trees, 4 Santas, and then I'm just going to use a Sharpie and draw some eyes. That looks like a really bright green, but it's really not. So anyway, that's another one that I need to finish and get it quilted and bound. And hopefully in the next, even if it's after Christmas. That way next year they're all finished. And then I only have 2 other well, I have one that I'm still piecing. It's that penny candy something. It was a kit from Country Sampler. It has, I don't know, 400 and half square triangles. I'm still piecing that, trimming my triangles down, all of that. So I don't know if that'll get done this year or not. But anyway, then I have a kind of off-white and green Irish chain, single Irish chain. And that one is finished, but it needs to be quilted and bound. So I don't know. Then the main thing, and I'm hoping to get a picture of it because it's huge and it's not quilted yet. And it's my Santa Claus block of the month that I did years ago when I worked at the first quilt shop. The owner took patterns. We had to buy the pattern, and then we had to buy the little fabric kit. And then the block of the month included sashing and borders and all of that. So, and that's my Santa quilt. It's huge. And I'm hoping I can get some sort of a decent picture. I mean, if my husband and I both stood on ladders and held it up, it's not queen size, but it's close to being queen size. Every year I say I'm gonna get it finished, put it on the bed, and it's not yet done. But it is on the machine. I'm gonna take just the top off because I haven't started quilting it and show you that. So that is what I have been doing. I know we're already up to 52 minutes, something like that, 53 minutes. So he's going to insert pictures of quilts. They'll just be a photo slide. I had a few pictures on Instagram of my decorating, but it just seems like there's always a lot going on. And I don't think I'm going to do a home tour. I also decorate with a lot of red and white quilts. Not white, but red and like one shade off white. But those I'm not necessarily going to show you because I could leave those out. They could be out for Valentine's Day or whatever. Although I don't usually decorate for Valentine's Day, but a lot of people do. I just don't have enough stuff. Not enough hearts. Anyway, I will be back in a couple weeks, and I will just say enjoy the slideshow. So we'll see you in a couple weeks. Love ya. Bye. I hope you enjoyed all of that, and I will see you in a couple weeks. I hope you have a very Merry Christmas, that you're able to spend time with loved ones, and that you continue to remember the reason for the season. Joy to the world, the Lord has come. So thank you for watching. Hope you subscribe. Hope you hit the thumbs up, all of that good stuff, and I will see you in a couple weeks. Bye.